Hi,
Like
Alana.
we have to go on a walk. We just have to like go on walks every week and like just like have it, recording all the time. I think that's the key, which I
I
miss.
have
I miss
to
so
do.
much. Yeah.
Hello, Alana. I missed you so much too. How you been?
Good. I'm good. I'm in Israel. I'm in my in-laws' house. I've been staying with my in-laws for almost 2 weeks with my two sons without my husband, which I've never done before. Yeah, it's a whole new experience, and I'm doing this because of you. You told me to do this. Yeah.
So I'm guilty.
Yes, it's your fault. I wasn't gonna, remember? I wasn't gonna. And you're
Ah,
like,
it
why
was
not?
good. Okay.
Why wouldn't you? And you're so right, because it's like all the reasons why that I was thinking that I shouldn't go, they were just attachments, like they were ego. They were just like not even real. And they would have kept me from this unbelievable experience that has been so deeply spiritual in so many ways. And so, yes, I know you're making that face, like that I told you so face. I see you making that face. Yes, yes. So, yeah. So thank you. I thank you. And every so often, when I see my ego coming back, or I see judgment coming back, I catch myself so quickly now, and I hear your voice saying, well, why? This is just a really cool 3D experience. And when you had said that about me going, you were like, that's just another cool 3D experience. And I'm like, that's right. That's right. It is. Why wouldn't I go? So here I am. Yeah.
Your 3D experience can immediately turn into 5D if you will be present in the moment.
Exactly. Which it has been. It's like I think about how I used to be when I used to come here, and how I am now, and it's unbelievable how different the countries are, and how easy it is to be such a spoiled American, and be this person who points out what it is that could be a flaw, when in actuality all it is pure beauty that makes us so much more appreciative of where we've come from, and also the meaning behind where everyone else here is coming from. And to look at it from that perspective, and to share that perspective with my children, who I could see going the other way, pointing out all the differences from like that ego perspective, in and of itself is a blessing.
And you will also agree that when you come to some new place, everything is so surrealistic. Like it's easier to perceive purely when you come visiting other country or city. You
Yes.
remember me in New York when we were visiting Blue Knot, like, Alana, I'm on the drugs. It was so, I don't have any words to explain this. I'm, spiritual awakening is so fascinating with this effect that you cannot control it. Though probably I found the clue how we can shift to 5D state much easier without this long meditation, without this contemplating of nature and so on, with this long walks, like, to be in dynamic meditation. I know the best tool ever. For me, it's sleep deprivation.
Like
It
drum roll, please.
It works right away, even if you decrease your sleep to 3 hours a day, or you even have a nap additionally. But the state when you slept only 2 hours and you are awake at night shifts you to some mysterious miracles place where you have this expansion and you perceive everything like in lucid dream.
Wow. Like from the other side of the veil, just watching it. Yeah.
And exactly, and it's so easy for me now to understand that I know that sleep deprivations are available only for those who are very worked with the psyche, because to bear yourself during so long period of time, like to be in contact with yourself, your mind all the time, it can be very hard for many people, I know.
Yes. Yes.
But we do bodily practices to get rid of all clamps and all psychological traumas in body, to easily stay with ourselves longer, not to switch off, not to escape from reality into dream.
Right.
So I would recommend everyone who wants to additionally expand consciousness to deprivate at least. It's very, it's very safe technique, because the worst thing you can meet, you can face, you will like switch off, and that's all.
Right. Right. The worst thing is that you would fall asleep.
Yeah, not to drive car, probably. It's risky, but just to perceive reality as it is, because you
Right.
are, not for nothing they say awakening, like you are awake.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
You have to be awake.
amazing. But so, like we were talking about before, like I was starting to minimize my sleep and then came here, and I think adjusting to the climate made it really, really, really difficult because it's a desert and it does feel like it takes so much more out of you. And I am sleeping more and napping longer, and it does take some time to get back into this place of 5D. And it takes the breathing, and it takes some walks, and it takes, like maybe some prayer, like to really get centered again. And so did you go through that when you first moved? I kind of remember you saying that. So I wonder like how long it took for you to adjust.
Yeah, regarding sleep deprivations and any kind of deprivations, food deprivation as well, I have experience of year when I learned so many things, like people are not sleeping at all, not eating at all, how it's possible. And the clue is our consciousness, but how to rebuild all your schedule, how to get rid of conceptions like I need healthy sleep at minimum 8 hours. We are so framed here, we
Yeah.
are so brainwashed with these ideas what to eat, when to sleep, that we are living in groundhog day all the time. But
Yes.
Castaneda in his books suggested to ruin your regimes, your frames, and even if you won't get rid of sleep at all, but you can change something in your schedule to um, to expand your consciousness and go out of your frames. We are getting used to live very, like we start the day and then we finish the day. But who said that this day should be finished? I want
Right.
more. I
Right.
want to be long day, or at least I'm prolonging the hours in my day. It's not 24 hours. I was dreaming all my life to have more time. So if I'm
Yeah.
awake, for example, 24 hours, and then even I'm going to sleep for 5 hours, my day is 30 hours. And it will be useless if not the state of consciousness that you experience. You're going out of your cage, and you understand that you see the world as it is. Someone is afraid of hallucinations and so on, but they are not occurring right away, or only if you will force yourself and you will feel badly. But as everywhere, fanatic approach is not acceptable. Just need to start. So I started to deprivate and naturally and like cutting this scheme, like I need to go back to sleep even if I don't want, like I'm putting myself into bed automatically because I got used to this, and this is like habit. And if you break it, first of all, you are counting hours, and you are uh, it's so uncomfortable, and you feel suffering. I felt my victim pattern, like, oh no, mommy, I want to go sleep. Give
That's
me
what
some
everyone's
sleep.
doing. I did that for my whole life up until I met you. And then I became so free. And I remember waking up and not counting hours anymore and just being excited. And it was such a, my husband was like in shock. He was like, how are you just waking up so happy? I'm like, I just realized I already have everything that I already need. Like there's nothing, like it's literally that simple, you know, and I don't need to force myself to go back to sleep.
And what I want to say would help me on this way is attention management. I think that the main clue in all these techniques, cicados are so loud there here in Texas. Sorry.
I don't hear them.
The main tool we need to use is to be with all your attention in the body constantly. So you are feeling your body in space, and you are skipping thoughts and evaluations. And this living through the body also expands your consciousness. And this is the key, how you can be awake, stay awakened constantly without sleep, because we are getting tired of our mind, of our psyche, and we want to run away and switch.
Right.
Can be relaxed, even if you will lie down, watch something, read something, and the body will have its relaxation, or through practices or through massage. Sleep is necessary for our psyche, for our brain things, which also are being changed when we expand our consciousness. We don't need to live through all these stages to reset our mind every time, to clean the psyche and then go again. So it's available only for those who have at least initial spiritual awakening. And I was training myself so much, and then I understood that the more I'm in this state, I don't care what to do. I'm not counting hours, how long I'm awake. And as I shared on my channel, the longest I had 40 hours without sleep. And even food didn't switch me off. Like usually, when you are awakened, you also have such great connection with the body that you understand all the needs of the body, what it wants to eat, when it needs really to sleep, or if it's psyche which like demands, and so on. And this connection very individual, and no one can tell you what to do, only your body and your sensual perception of living life through the body. If we ignore body, we receive only clamps, and as a result, diseases, and body starts to cry, yell at us like, what the hell are you doing? You forgot about me.
Yes.
I want to eat meat. So I'm not discussing so much theme about not eating anymore, though I know it's possible and so on. I'm not changing my opinion, but I faced so big resistance from people that are afraid even to hear about the possibility, or like it's possible for someone. They rejecting like, no, you're lying. Like, oh my God. I don't know, maybe they defend their craving to food, but I'm not with that I'm saying that it's possible. I'm not persuading someone to give up eating right now. I just share that you can. I want to expand consciousness of people and to make them get rid of, to ask for a question whether it's true or not. Maybe they want to experiment and try some different things in life. Someone doesn't like it and want to leave, in the schedule, woke up and then job and then go back. But usually most of people feel unhappy living in this vicious cycle of routine. They want to feel alive. And I want to suggest people how you can easily shift and feel yourself alive. And this is not about eating or not eating. The main idea is to expand your consciousness and see the reality. This is the key.
Yes, well, everyone is conditioned that, in order to be able to feel certain levels of joy, that they do need to consume things, whether it be alcohol or food, and can't imagine that we are empowered and already programmed with this kind of like inner technology to be able to do it on our own. That like when we're eating and we're just essentially, feeling serotonin being created, which is like 95% of that being created through the belly, right? And we just love the way that feels, and it gets attached to an emotion from childhood, when our mom fed us when we weren't feeling good. And what we don't really realize is that by paying attention to the body and tapping into the emotions that are already pre-programmed within us, we are empowered to turn on that chemical immediately. We can turn on all of our bliss chemicals immediately, and we can feel a sense of wholeness without having to consume anything from the outside. And that begins with us being able to trust ourselves, to know that we already have everything that we already need, and that we don't have to go looking around the world on the outside, and that all of that joy and all of that wholeness already lives within us, but we just don't know what it feels like. We just haven't tried that out. And I think that's where the experimentation starts to come in, when we give
Yeah.
ourselves the chance to be able to really cultivate that on our own. And I think that we haven't sit still for long enough. We haven't slowed down for long enough, because we also believe that circumstances on the outside need to look and feel and be set up in a certain way in order for ourselves to be able to feel any sort of love. And that we've forgotten that we are already worthy of love just because we woke up. We don't have to acquire, attain, achieve, eat, drink, anything to be able to feel this self-worth that's already pre-programmed within our heart center. And I think that it all stems from, us being told, and this is kind of like the cool part of me being in Israel and seeing, all these different religions come together, and everyone believes that, God won't love you, or you're not worthy of love, until you've done all of these certain things, until you've kept kosher, until you've gone to temple a certain number of days, until you've baptized your child, until you've had this bar mitzvah. Like, all of these things need to happen on an ongoing basis for you to be worthy of this love, because we're like born from sin or something, when in actuality we're already born whole, and that wholeness comes from within. So this is like it's a complete like swap. It's a complete like turning around of anything we've ever been told, like when it comes to not only consumption but religion and the way that we even choose our jobs, the way that like we choose what kind of house to buy, like all of it. And this is how we were originally. We were originally this way. We were originally self-sustaining individuals that already had everything that we needed within us to be able to go long days and survive in a desert where there wasn't food. And we're going to a place now where we won't have as much food readily available to us. People don't really realize that we're going through a major shift now, where we will all need to collectively learn to tap into this power that's already within us, because we can be sustained, believe it or not just by our wholeness, but by the fact that our cells turn into light when we are living in a state of wholeness. And that light, which comes to us from the universe in the form of photons, which is nothing more than unconditional love with information in it, can actually fill us up. And so this is the beginning of the shift that we all together can start to learn, if we can get to a place of trust.
Thing is that intellectually, I can guarantee that everyone will understand what you're talking about.
Right.
Like, okay, we all deserve love, and be yourself. Like, you have the right, and by the birth right, But I should admit that being in this state is inexplicable. So I can only say that when we are in quantum field, in this 5D state, in expanded state of consciousness, there is no thoughts, no programs are working anymore. So it becomes crystal clear that you are the lizard king and you can do anything. like you are fearless, you are creator, you are like a player in the game, and also you detecting that this is a game, this is Maya, illusory, right away, like, wow, oh my God, I must be sleeping. This is not real.
Like pinch me, like is this actually real? And this is what I'm talking about. Like what you're talking about, this is enlightenment. That is being one with our creator as a creator. Like that it's that simple. And the more you live like that, the more you realize that when you do eat or when you do drink, it just takes you out of it. And people don't realize that this is peace.
Yeah, and you feel so relieved. You don't need anything. You know, we were visiting Night Austin with my beautiful roommate, housemate, and I shifted into 5D very deeply. And I was so like the day in New York when I was high, I was like, oh my God, amazing, amazing. I couldn't explain what happens. And she suggested me, wow, now you can manifest everything you want, like you are there, like manifestations happen right away in this state. I said, I don't need anything. I'm so like I'm so in a blissful state that I even don't need anything. Though I can suppose the more we are trans going there and the more stable we are at 5D, then we can research more, because it's still it's not very usual state for me, because I'm not constantly in this state. I'm like a child who enjoys like the state as a fact. And someone stops at this stage of enlightenment, had this samadhi experience, this expansion, and many masters have like this experience twice in life. They understood everything, and they like unpacked this huge knowledge from within, and they start speaking things and saying like, guys, you need to meditate and to self-analyze, to see observe your thoughts, so you can shift there, you can get rid of all sufferings. But I am convinced that as long as you're shifting back to 3D, all programs are being switched on immediately. The difference is that you can identify them. You are not so attached to these programs. But what happened in July?
No, but that's the whole thing. If you can notice it immediately, that's awareness. That's the point of it. You know, as opposed to like you having to serve those thoughts. Now you're choosing the thoughts that serve you.
I thought that I will never go inside the victim pattern anymore. Like I was so convinced that I got rid of this shit and that I don't need this. It doesn't work. I got depressed when I was feeling a victim. But in July, what happened due to my immigration, and that I had very, very difficult period behind, I was lucky only because I was like 80% in quantum field. I was perceiving like a child. All that happened, I had no worries, no fears of anything at all. But in July, probably because in new circumstances, I lost some level of my awareness. I shifted a little bit back, and I got this fear of losing money again, that I need to pay for rent and so on. This is new country. No one can help me. And my victim awakened like, oh my God, they stopped paying donations to me. Give me more money. Like I'm doing so much. Why I have no like reward from universe? And you know what it is? I'm convinced that we are making our reality. The more I'm complaining, the more reality will confirm me that you're a victim, you're complaining, okay, I'm mirroring your reality because I'm creator. But when person is very low awareness, he cannot see the cause effect chain between his thoughts, his self-evaluations, and his attitude to the world. So he's been attached so much to this, and he has illusory that the world is cruel, people injustice, and so on. But in 5D, you absolutely realize that you are creating, you are manifesting, and there is no one but you around. That's why you have this unconditional love to every human being. So I'm not embarrassed to admit that I have these rollbacks, but hopefully, I finally found a tool for myself. This is sleep deprivation. And also, of course, after herbal cleansing, I'm not eating so much. I have only avocado, oat milk now, coffee with oat milk sometimes, and what else? Cucumber.
Nice.
And cold pressed olive oil. That's all.
Wow.
Sometimes I even persuade myself, like, Lisa, do you want chocolate? Try it. You need to have some cravings. Try it. And I'm going to grocery, which I call drugstore, and buy some drugs myself, like chocolate or some donut or something to taste, to understand whether I'm hooked on this taste or I don't care anymore.
Right.
And I feel the taste like it is.
Yeah.
And not distorted, but I guess it's too sweet for me. And I nearly want to throw up if I eat something that is not matching my frequencies or my body condition, my cleansed body. And avocado and oils, like, keto diet, but vegetable, is the most convenient for me now. Probably I'm not like making any forecasts regarding my nutrition. I think that this is only like the feeling of your body and what it needs. Probably I will get rid of food at all soon, very soon. I have such kind of, science. But I'm not attached to this because this is not the goal. For what? Like, what I want to investigate, life in this state of expanded consciousness, and even to go deeper into the state and to use all tools to understand how deep the rabbit hole is. And it's deep. It's about levitation, teleportation, telekinesis, and even traveling through portals. You were laughing at me in New York on Staten Island. I remember, like, oh, Lisa again went to her portal.
But portal again, yes.
I do believe we can. We can travel in
Yes.
different dimensions and densities of realities. So the food, and it's like to be a child, to be with the psyche of a child until you age and die, to eat something, consume, like mother is here, calmness, to calm down yourself with food, then to sleep. This is like in baby style lifestyle.
Yeah.
And someone smokes like crazy. I was smoking for so long. I liked it. And this is also like mother's poops. So yeah.
So true.
How are you awakening and how is your progress now?
I like what you're saying before about a portal, and traveling and different dimensions. Like my feeling is that we are in a different dimension. We're already in the other portal. And if we can watch this experience as an experiment from the perspective of another dimension, we realize that this is the ultimate dimension to be in, that we're already on the other side of the portal, and that where we are originally, like our actual self, which is in the space of nothingness.
Who knows where it is? I don't know.
Like that's all that's all that it is. Like in the end, that's all it ever is. And that's the thing that always, brings me back is knowing that it's not even that I exist in the space of nothingness. It's just that I am the space of nothingness, and that we all are. And that as I go around this world with this deep sense of wholeness and unconditional love, it's because I'm looking at every single person before me, knowing that we're all just existing in this space of nothingness. And we've come down here, we've incarnated down here by choice for a reason from another dimension, just because there were things that we needed to circumvent, right? There were things that we hadn't circumvented before and transcended before. And we chose certain families for a reason, you know, in order to set us onto this path of growth. So that when we do roll back into pity, or we do roll back into the victim mode, it's only ever there for this duality of growth, which moves us from the 3D into the 5D. And that when we immediately get back to that place of joy and that place of our truth, and knowing that this is really only this temporary experience, and knowing that we're all just going to go back to where we came from, and that we can see this divine light in everybody that we all share, that it becomes so much more fascinating and easier to stay in that place of watching it from another dimension, and that you become free, as we've talked about in the past, not because, you know, like you're alone meditating somewhere in the woods all the time, or you're trying to, you know, like exit through a different portal, but you've become free because of the duality. You've become free because of the people that, you know, you are you know, being able to connect with, and you're watching their challenges, and you're accepting them just as they are in their own path, because it's so easy to go to judgment, right? It's so easy to go to, oh, well, they're still just sitting around drinking and eating while I'm just sitting here not doing, like, it's so easy to point a finger at, oh, well, they just care so much about, you know, money, and look how I don't anymore. And what happens is you go to the place where you said, where your vibration actually matches what it is that you're judging, and you start to actually attract the thing that you're judging, and you
Yeah,
start into the loop of that. It's like you match it, and then you're like, wow, the more I get into a place of judging someone else and not accepting them for who they are, the more I'm actually just like getting in the way of their karma. You know, like, that's actually none of my business. You know, I don't violate the will of the universe by making sure another person should be where I am, because they have their own karma to transcend. And when I do that, I'm now shutting myself off from feeling the unconditional love and receiving all the information from the universe and connecting with God in a way that sets me on a path that is just my true journey, where I could watch this all like I'm from the other dimension, just watching it all. And that's where I am. Am I there constantly? It's hard because I'm living with my in-laws for 2 weeks, but I can tell you this, you know, every single thing that comes up, like we said before, is only just a cool mirror where you're like, wow, normally, you know, I would have been this person who would have held the anger and held the judgment and felt like I was right to do so, when in actuality, I just see it all as a really cool temporary movie that's going to end really soon. You know, soon I'll go back. And am I only doing the one thing that I'm meant to do when I'm here, which is just radiate that pure unconditional love to my family as often as possible, so that they catch it and they feel it and they do the same while they're here.
Oh my God, it's so nice. It's so cute. I love your family so much.
Thank you. They love you. And they miss the hell out of you. And they all say hi. And here's some of them. Oh, that's Mo's dad. He doesn't really speak any English at all, so he's not really good.
Keep on sharing our secrets, yes.
Yeah, so, but yeah, so that's.
So, how I have a question. Have you changed your worldview or your goals in life after spiritual awakening, or you just have a goal to be and to emit love, and to, it doesn't matter what you will be doing next, or you have any kind of goals if you want to share?
That's That's a real meaty question for me, because I used to be so just goal oriented, and was very good at selling and getting into decision makers and making money and all that good stuff my whole life, and doing this, what I'm doing now, still with the ego, which is where I was when you came and stayed with us and kind of dealt me the devil cards.
Double card, I remember.
Like, shit,
For yourself, you're lying.
what am I doing? So from there, I decided to just take time off, and only do what I believe to be my truth, which I didn't really know, to be honest, even though I taught about living your truth and being authentic, what that would mean, when I took away goals and I took away what what other people were thinking.
Expectations.
I had to totally, completely forget about who I thought that I was, like 100%, in order to discover my truth. And I decided that I'm only just going to speak on things that I love. I'm only going to share information that feels really good. I'm just going to create from my soul. And I'm going to just get good at learning social media and have fun with it, and not have any kind of attachments of, where I'm supposed to be on my journey, and, how much money I'm supposed to make, or how many meetings or anything. And I've now gotten to the place where I see that the ultimate goal for me is for everyone to be able to feel this love that's already inside of them, and to be able to activate from that perspective, starting their day that way, which is totally possible, because no one thinks that that is their right. And it's such a simple message, but the whole world is lost. They don't know that this is something that can be theirs, and the power that exists behind it. So, I used to get visions of me being at my grandma's house when I was trying to kind of move past not feeling safe all the time, and needing to make all of this money in order to set up like a new home that would look different than my childhood, so I would feel safe. And I would, I would have a childhood that for my family, that looked and felt totally different than mine, and that meant that they were safe. And even though I had all this money, I never felt safe. I still felt anxiety. And I used to have this vision where I'd lay in my grandma's bed, and I felt so safe there. And this would be the thing that I learned, was this kind of like quantum psychology, where you can go back and you can send love, from your now self to your childhood self, being your own mother, and saying, look where you are now. You are safe. You can completely come out now. You don't have to stay in this shell of perfection anymore, and you can live your truth, and we're gonna have fun, and we're gonna do this. And I had that like a lot. Yeah, and so what happened here in Israel was I got a new vision that I had forgotten about, which I think is the thing that kind of answers your question. And it came to me while I was lying in Shavasana at the end of one of your classes. So it was no longer like a vision of having to be safe. It was, which is like, that energy that we hold in the lower chakra. It was like that energy had been released and moved up that kind of like evolution of like the chakra system to the top. And it was now a vision of creation instead. So I can read this to you.
Oh my God.
This is what I wrote right after being in Shavasana after one of your Kriyas a couple days ago, which kind of answers the question of where I am now. And so it was this most beautiful bird came to visit me while I was in Shavasana. It was the most beautiful bird I ever saw. It had like a hat. Like, I never saw anything like it. Like it was, and it was there while I was doing yoga in the park, and it was like watching me, and it was like all dressed up. It looked like it had like a fancy headdress, like it was ready for a party. And I'm thinking maybe these birds are typical in Israel. And when I was in Shavasana, my child self appeared in front of a mirror that I used to stand in my grandma's bedroom. And I had gotten this vision before. It was a familiar vision that I'm kind of just like standing there. I'm wearing one of my grandma's nightgowns and I'm fashioning it into like all of like these different dresses, like party dresses, you know, and I'm maybe like 12 years old. And each time, you know, I'd fashion it into some kind of dress, she would go, ooh, and ah, and like only in the way that like a grandma would for her granddaughter, you know, like kind of turning a nightgown into multiple ballroom dresses. And you know, it was like me getting ready for a big night out or something. And this time the vision was different because I had seen this vision before, but this time I was like really like I was flooded with the memory of the feel of the fabric and the way its silken sheen like kind of clung to me, and I could see the color of the fabric. It was this yellow gold, and there was like this floral brocade of lace across my chest, and I turn and twist the dress in various ways, and each time just letting my creativity run loose as it turned into so many dresses. And I remember in Shavasana, I looked up and I could see my grandma's gaze as she was kind of adoring me from behind, and her legs kind of laid out, you know, in front of her as she lounged on the bed, but behind me. And this time I could actually clearly make out her eyes and I could see her face, and it was so real that it almost like scared me. And she was so there. She was truly there, as if to say that she's always been there and she'd always be there, just as clear as day. And all I'd ever need to do was to look forward at the reflection behind me to feel her. And it was her there in the form of like this deep nurturing love supporting me, as if to say I could be free to create with this level of childlike freedom and joy now, and that I too could nurture my own family and the world with this same exact love in doing so, just by creating freely. And that just by spending time in Israel with my mother-in-law and the boys, and that this trip was that, and that I was already enough just by doing that. And I was so deeply filled with wholeness of this special visit that, I mean, I could not like get up from Shavasana. Like I just want to like stay in like kind of this cocoon of her love. And when I finally arose to see the bird again, I saw a mom with her baby looking at the bird, staring at the bird, like pointing at the bird in amazement of it. And I asked, you know, is this bird usual in Modine? You guys always have this kind of bird. And she said in her 38 years that she had never seen this kind of a bird in Modine ever. And I knew then that it was my grandma.
Oh my God, it's so creepy, but beautiful.
So like my ending kind of statement was like, to answer your question, is that if I could just live through the eyes of this girl, seeing the world standing behind me in the mirror in its reflection of unconditional love. That's what I'm doing while I'm creating.
You are so energetically charged lady. So I guess that you will embody, you will create something. And, you know, this whole transition needs time to unpack everything that wasn't available before.
Yes.
So me, the same. So I had this kind of goals and so on. I was expecting myself to develop this and that. But now I feel some kind of responsibility. People are waiting for careers and so on, because I'm not devaluing. I'm trying not to devalue, you know, my job. Because usually I do this. It's like not a big deal, you know, to record 100 videos. Like I cannot imagine people are doing this and they help. Like I'm really devaluing myself all the time. It's my pattern as well. But now I don't feel like I'm responsible if one day I will give up what I'm doing now. It's my choice. And anyway, I was useful at least. And then I don't know what I will be doing. I want to investigate more the possibilities of consciousness, and all my interest is in learning about immortality, about some super abilities, not because of my ego or that I want to be special, I want to be famous, and so on. This is not ego desires. This is the like the interest of a child that wants to know what's next. Like I finished the level, like the primary school. I graduated, and then I'm going to the next stage of my development. And I'm convinced that we are embodied in this game exactly for the development. We can have different goals. We can be musicians, like businessmen and so on, yoga teachers or whoever. But the main idea is to self-realize yourself, to awaken, that understand that this is a game, and then to go deeper and to unpack another layers of this very cool super reality.
This is
It's very
it.
hard to explain. You know, if I was in 3D now, and never awakened and never experienced samadhi or something, I would probably say, "Oh, she's crazy,
Yeah,
absolutely crazy.
yeah.
What the hell
People,
is talking
I
about?
went to a dinner
What
the
do
other
you
day,
mean?"
and I said what you said. I said this at a dinner in front of people, and I said I can't wait to live to be 300. I have so much to do. And they were like, "Are you crazy?" Because like the idea is like when you're fooled by the conception of time, right? And you believe that you can't wait to at some point stop having, to like be part of this grind, and you just want to slow down and like get comfortable in retirement and be ready to die at 75, 80 versus uncovering and unpacking like so many different, talents within yourself. And you need a lifetime for it. You need multiple lifetimes for it. I feel like I need that much time. Like I'm just getting started.
Exactly
They
the
looked
same.
at me like I was crazy. They were like, that's too long. That's too up to 80. And then that's it. I don't want to, but I see myself looking like this, not from an ego perspective, but because I need my biology to support whatever it is that I'm doing next, like on an ongoing basis, because I see myself doing multiple things, and I need hundreds of years for that on this earth to communicate, all of that in whatever kind of medium that I so enjoy at that time.
Because you are involved in life itself. When you awaken in, you have so many interests and desires,
Yes.
pure and very sincere desires, that you say, wow, I only begin living, I don't want to die so fast. Usually people realize this right before death. Usually they regret something, that
Right.
why I
Right.
wasted my life. And when we awaken and we understand that all life before it was nothing, not like nothing, and it was good. It should be as it was. But I also can say that only because someone told me that I need to die at 70 and everyone does it. There were in history people who were doing otherwise, and not going together with everybody, so why not to at least try to
Yeah.
reset brain, and to put another program into brain, like have this probability, um, and to believe that you are endless. You can live in this body as long as you can, because time doesn't exist. Everyone who was in 5D understands and feels that the timeline is not as we perceive it. And for me, I wanted to live when I want to leave this planet. I mean, and also guys who are much more progressive than me. Some woman who is not eating for not drinking, not eating 2 years. She has so expanded state of consciousness. She's adequate. She gives lectures and so on. She's psychologist. with 2 degrees of psychology. And she says that when you are going to next level of perception, of realization, you meet the same frequency people at
Yeah.
your field. And one woman contacted her when she didn't know, she even wanted to roll back to food because she had no purpose. What's next? Like the evolution stops and we are dying when we don't know where to expand, where to go next. And one woman contacted her, and this woman was about 300 years. And she telepathically installed the idea to her that this girl, Svetlana, should go next and discover the abilities of her DNA reprogramming and go straightly to the cell's structure and learn how to change her appearance, looking into her cells and recording DNA. And she understood the next level, where to go, and information unpacked regarding all your ancestors and the possibility to unpack any kind of genes that are like how they call it, lazy genes or sleeping genes. You can
Dormant.
unpack.
Dormant. Yeah, dormant.
Yeah.
Dormant genes.
And
Yeah.
this is what she is up for now. For me, this level is not available because I'm not so stable in this state of consciousness, and I'm like a child, only awakened and see what's next. But it's all, I know that I will never be engaged in a common lifestyle because it's not interesting for me. And the food intake, restaurants, and this all ceremonies are not interesting for me. That's why I'm gradually getting rid of food, for example. Um, Here I face a little bit like loneliness because few people live like this, but I believe that on my way I will attract people who are like mind. For
Absolutely.
example, my roommate, she just contacted me, and it turned out that she has the same interests and the same investigations and also spiritual awakening and the same insights. How it's possible? Am I crazy? Not, no, I'm not alone in my craziness.
No.
So yeah, we just move further, and we need to decide for ourselves what whether we need this or not. Unfortunately, when we are very low energy, like I was before, for example, when I was depressive all the time, I was constantly depressed in my life, you know. Since childhood, I was writing about death, poetry about death. Like I wanted to finish life as soon as possible, subconsciously. And unfortunately, people when they are very low energetic and they have no thrill for life, and they feel that this is useless, like come on, I want to finish it as soon as possible. I lived, I know life, you know, they say that I know life, I lived so long. Like no, you don't know what is life. You haven't looked at each corner of reality. So if we're embodied here, if we perceive us as bodies, though it's illusory, we still need to research and to develop in this game, or we will be, as they call, bots. You know,
Yeah.
bots who are
Yeah.
sleeping, eating, and you know, when I see some people, I just see that they are so programmed that they are not understanding even that they are not alive, how they can check that they are alive.
Yeah, this is the whole thing, and I think you know, just being around your energy, they can feel that there is something called being alive that starts to radiate from you, and that in and of itself is your purpose. You know, like when that happens, and when you can feel what they're feeling through you, you're just basically like seeing that that is the oneness, you know, and what can feel like loneliness, you know, is nothing more than us understanding that we've discovered something earlier than other people.
Just yeah, it happened.
Yeah. And this is where it becomes difficult because, you know, I know when we last talked, it was the last time that I really had a drink. I hadn't had a drink for a couple months, and then went with my kids' friends' parents were invited to stay for the day at someone's beach house, and I'd really never hung out with them before, and was like, oh, well, what am I going to say? What am I going to do when I say, when they ask if I want to drink? And I wasn't yet ready to really stand in my power and be that person who's like, I just don't drink. And if you don't like it, I don't care. I wasn't yet ready for it. It turns out I had been doing this thing where I'm like, I'm going to stay home a lot. I guess if I'm not drinking, I'm just not going to stay home. I mean, I'm just not going to hang out with other people. And there I was essentially hiding myself, and feeling a sense of loneliness as a result. And when I went there, sure enough, I took a drink because I didn't really know what else to do. And there's the duality, right? Because right then and there, the second I swallowed that sip, I became someone else. I became my old way of being. I became someone who was like twisting myself to like win the approval of others. And the loneliness became even more severe, even more intense. And it wasn't, like a wholehearted conversation where I was leading with love. And, I got to, like feel the joy of understanding that we're still of the oneness, even though, they're still drinking and eating and I'm not, because that is there. I was the opposite of that. And I was so much more in the loneliness because I lost myself. And the next day, if I have one drink, it comes really hard for me to control my thoughts. I believe, the voice in my head telling me that I'm not good enough and that I just ruined, like a friendship or something. And now what's going to happen with my kids and their friends, like all these different domino effects. And I could feel heaviness in my chest. And from there, I was like, oh my God, this is never going to happen again. Because going forward, every time I ever hang out with someone, and I'm going to hang out with people that drink, I don't care. I'm going to go out. I'm going to enjoy this world. I'm going to see the beauty of life. I'm going to see where people are in other stages. I'm going to watch this like a movie because I am going to show up as my true self and radiate that love that I know that they could feel, which is my purpose. And that when they feel that, they could be drunk on my love and I could be drunk on the light. And I can send that to them, and that is good enough. And I did that. I was able, that set me up. That experience set me up for being able to come here and hang out with all of my husband's friends quite a few times and stay out late for like a bunch of hours while everyone drank. And I just sat there in that state of being intoxicated on the light and shining it into everyone, not from a place of deprivation and not enough and scarcity and, oh, I'm missing out, but of I'm already exactly where I need to be. And if you have an issue with that, then that's your own personal problem, but B, I'm still fun to hang out with. Like, I'm probably even more fun to hang out with now. And that makes me even more attached to every person in this world, to all of humanity. I'm now even more attached because of that. And that's how I was able to look at that one experience, which used to put me back in bed. Like, I would be back in bed with depression because like it didn't work out with a mom friend. That was a trigger of mine. And I was finally able to let go of that pattern that I had lived for so many years, whether or not people like me, if I'm saying the right thing, like, oh, do my college girlfriends want to keep in touch with me? And now it's like, it's a whole other thing because now you're executing from not the am I state, like I'm not sure, you're executing from the I am state. And that is the state that everybody wants to be around. And from that, you attract all of those like beings. And then the other thing I wanted to say before, as far as like upgrading your gene code and being able to access dormant DNA, the second you give your will over to the universe, you surrender to the universe and you tell the universe, I am open to any kind of information that you can give me and I'm ready. There are already beings in other dimensions who are working to give you the light codes that you need to upgrade your DNA to live this way on an ongoing basis so that you too can live hundreds of years and make it easy to have this transition away from food, away from sleep, and into the wholeness of light, because that's how we once were, and that's how we were put here originally by those beings.
It's very cool observation. And there is no justice for people who are still eating. And this is not about this. I can be very high and very interested in a conversation with anyone, because I don't care what they drinking or eating, because I'm not focusing my attention there. But for sure, I would be very happy if people on my way will also help me to learn more information. Or I'm discovering every day something new, you know, about people about man who is living for 800 years, and when he goes out, he wears gloves because his palms are like transparent, and he hides them. And we can be surrounded by such kind of people, but we never know who is standing next to us. We can feel something subconsciously, like very pleasant person. Why he's pleasant, no one knows.
Right.
But our task, wow, I'm
What is
unpacking my.
that? And it's the energy again, you feel it. And this is, oh, that I know. I'm like, is that like it looks like a stair climber.
It's
That's the other dimension.
portal. My portal.
Here's my portal.
I like taking bathrooms since childhood, lying in the bathroom for hours now. My old habits are changed so much.
Yeah.
And what I love the most is only walking, and being in 5D, and listening to some new information, or to receive insights. And regarding Kundalini, I always receive any kind of very cool, enthusiastic ideas during my practicing. And yeah.
Your class I did this morning was amazing. I did the 30-minute.
Why everyone doing 30 minutes only? I've done
I'm
1
gonna do
hour.
the longer one, but this morning we had to leave early, but and loved it so much. No, I like the longer ones.
1 hour 8 minutes. This is 108. This is sacred number. So
I
you
can't
need to.
wait. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Like I'm definitely gonna do it. Yeah, I love
It
to
will
do
be
it.
very hard for you after Kriya for balance for recovery. Kriya, yeah. Recovery. It's not.
Oh my God. That was, remember, I was like in a whole other world. It's interesting because like what you were saying before, like you can hang out with people, and they're still eating and drinking. They're in this other way of being that you remember yourself that you used to be in, and it's like you're just watching patterns. Like that's all that it really is at this point. Because I used to be like, oh, this is so boring. I want to talk about deeper, more interesting stuff. But for a long time, I made myself sit through these conversations like my whole life, even though I found them boring. And I was like, no, you have to like be a part of these conversations. But now it's like you can watch them be in patterns, and it's like fascinating to be around everyone in this state of love. But you now know that you crave something more that is above surface conversation, and that you do not need to immerse yourself into these conversations on an ongoing basis for your identity and to be accepted. And so it becomes different. And that high vibration is what attracts people who want to have the other conversations, because only in the last year have I been able to attract someone like you, like a handful of people in my life that I can have, these really rich conversations where I can really learn from people, because I put it out there in the universe, please let me be able to find people that I can learn from, and we can have like a bi-directional, exchange of information. Because it did used to be me for a long time just telling people how to be, and that's not right either, because you're also violating will, so it's
We're classmates now, so we are graduated from one state of consciousness and shifted to another level, who
Right.
knows how many layers of this expansion will be. So this is not, they say that if you can imagine something, that this means that it exists. There is nothing that is not existent that we can imagine. For sure, levitation and all this stuff is is very usual in some state of consciousness. But in this state of consciousness, usually the ego has different quality. And as I can experience now from my point of development, that when I'm in 5D, I have no ego, no desire to share, like, oh my God, I'm so cool. If something happens to me, like levitation or anything, I don't know if I share or not. Probably I will leave social media because usually such people are chased, and they are too, they have like one way is to be considered as crazy, and the second way is just to be like killed sometimes. And it happened with many scientists who were trying to go out of common understanding of reality. There was a lot of example in for with Russian scientists. So yeah, everyone who speaks out something which is out of frames where all people are living, it's very uncomfortable truth that you can choose. At least you can choose how to live. It's not bad to have experience of eating tasty food and to have family, but I believe that we are players who are embodied at very different points of development.
Yes.
Probably I was incarnating many times, and at this level I have this experience. I'm ready for this. I, for example, since childhood, I wasn't thinking about having children at all. Not because I hate children, I love them, but I could not feel that this is my mission or my game. To have a child is also game we play. It's not interesting for me. I have other interests, and probably 1 year later I will tell some creepy thing that everyone will be shocked, and then I will delete my account, delete all careers, and just disappear.
And then that's it.
And then I will change passport name and go to other country. But I'm enjoying America. To be honest, I'm enjoying Austin. I'm so grateful that people are so friendly here, and you when you are growing up in such strict conditions, when everyone evaluates you or doesn't allow you to be, um, unfortunately I had this strict discipline in childhood, not from parents but from society, school, and my first class teacher, who also like installed a feeling of shame or embarrassment in me. This was my trauma. And when you arrive in
Problem.
some country, then no one judges you. You can freak out like you want,
Yeah.
not harming anyone, but you can look at as you like. No one will like look at you like, are you crazy? And also to walk at night is so safety. I'm playing guitar in the park and I feel safe so that no one will kidnap me or anything. Though I believe that I won't even attract such kind of events because I'm not afraid. I'm fearless. When I'm sleep deprivation, I'm fearless. This is like the consequence of sleep deprivations. You have no evaluations, you have pure mind, clarity, bright picture, expansion. You think that you can do anything, you feel horny and creative because the energy of libido, the energy of sacral
Fair.
chakra,
Yeah.
activate when we are not killing it with sleep. Too much sleep.
Oh, that's so crazy. I didn't know that. I'll have to try that.
Try right before you come back to
Right before
more.
I come back. It's funny you say that because we had bombs here, missiles when I was here. For the
Oh
first
my.
time, I had never seen them and actually saw them. And what you're
Oh,
saying is just reminding me, because my mother-in-law was like, "Are you afraid? Are you scared?" And I'm like, "No, I don't. I would think that I would be, but I don't. And I've never seen them before." But it's like you already just know that whatever's meant to happen is going to happen. And what is the point of having fear and evaluation, around any of it? And I feel safe, as a result of living this way. I feel like the world is my home. The
this is
people,
you. The
yeah,
world,
that's
the
yeah,
perception by your consciousness, which projects through avatar, through body, all you see. So how the world can be harmful? It can be
yeah.
harmful if you subconsciously feel to be harmed
This is it.
and
This is the key.
experience for
Yeah.
some purpose. When you realize this, you also get rid of, for example, public speaking
Mm,
fear.
right.
I
All of it.
noticed that I was singing so freely in July. I had a concert here, and I was so high. I was high. I wasn't evaluating myself. I was enjoying, maybe for the first time in my life, completely enjoying that.
Ah,
No, I don't care about judgments because the world is my home, and nothing bad can happen.
exactly.
I have
Exactly.
no fear of stage anymore.
And this is the whole thing. And then you feel like everyone in the world is your family. And you could actually feel what it's like to love the whole world and send those vibrations out and get them back. And it's like what you're just saying, like where I came from was, I was always selling what I was doing. And now I just speak my truth and I don't care what people think, and whether or not I'm going to have a following. The right people will find me. And that's the pure difference of all of it. It all goes hand in hand. Like I changed my name, my last name, and the old me would have really been afraid to do that. But I just
Yeah,
don't care anymore. I'm just
I
living my
remember like,
truth.
oh,
Yeah.
I will change my name. Sit
Yeah. And
down.
you're there and you're like, boom, just do it. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to just do it. And the lens, the lens in which you just see the whole entire world it's so different now that you can remember what it was like to see it the other way, but you know that you'll never see it the other way for long ever again. Like even though it can come back. And that's awareness, is catching yourself right there in the moment, and seeing what you have been doing and your performance, and like you just like radiating that from your heart center, and I know you're going to get to a place where you're stepping into another portal. Like I know you're going to levitate. Like I know this is going to happen. And again, like this is like literally our oldest like inner engineering, the technology that's already programmed within us that we don't even know that we have. And
Yeah.
you're just getting down into that. You're peeling the layers, and how were the pyramids built? How did they get all of these huge heavy materials from like all over far regions and bring them over without heavy machinery? How do you think they did that? They made it light enough to be able to do that, right? And this is where we're all going. Like in decades from now, this will be a normal conversation. Right? Like the illusion of aging, the illusion of time, nothing more than a belief, and thinking that we needed to eat 3 meals a day, and believing that we needed to sleep 7 to 8 hours, that we had to like go to this gym and pump our muscles, like all of that as we watch it now, as you and I watch it now from a different purview. Yes, it can make you feel like you're this one lonely person watching it from a different purview, but yet at the same time, we're already more connected because of it, and that's where it becomes even more fascinating.
Yeah. And what I wanted to do is to say something. Yeah. Regarding recording DNA, for example, with the words programming, that the sound itself has the straight uh, affection
Yeah.
on our DNA. And that's why it's so important what we speak about, how we call ourselves. And also the name is the other conditioning. Who said that have only one name for whole life, which was chosen not by myself, but by my parents, for example. I'm not complaining like I'm satisfied with my name, but I will definitely, if I if I stay in America, I will change. If I have in 5 years I receive passport of American person, I will be Lisa Grail there for sure. I
Absolutely.
can change. And this also, like I said in the beginning, this is also the putting yourself in other conditions, and it will expand you. And we are aging only because we are not expanding.
That's
We
it.
need to develop, but not torturing ourselves, because I have this tendency, my inner Hitler who's killing me.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I have this cruel man sitting inside that like, not enough, do more.
Voice.
And I
Yeah.
felt so exhausted. I needed to remember all the things I've done, to say name point by point, like, this year you made this. Yeah, not so bad. Okay. I won't be judging myself. I will do only everything out of love, as I was doing, out of relaxation, and don't care what happens tomorrow, because I don't want to think about tomorrow. So only 5D, and that is, if we are moving to 3D, immediately all programs will be again playing in us, and we will be living with them, understanding that we are bodies, we need food, and so on. This is like happens right away when you are in this
Right.
blurred state of consciousness. It's not usual. I think that this is distorted one, though maybe it's like you cannot skip this state of consciousness, and if um, we are born here with pure consciousness, then we were blocked, and the whole thing is to unpack yourself again, remember who you are, and
Yes.
try
This
to
is
move
it.
on.
This is the 3D game. You just named it, right? And that's why, like, when we're hanging out with people who are on different stages of the path, they're just on different stages of the path. They haven't gotten, you know, closer to remembering who they are, why they're here, and seeing that all that they were born into was nothing more than the ability for them to be able to get closer to that truth. And that is the beauty and joy of life. And that's something that our higher being, that's like set someplace in like another dimension, most people are saying it's another dimension, cannot experience that, that kind of duality, that kind of transcendence. That is something that is so special and so unique to this beautiful earth that we call home. And it's something that makes our world an Eden, like a paradise, and we can choose to experience it like that. And how often we remember that is our enlightenment. And you get to the point where you remember it so often that your biology shifts into that and meets you there. And that is where your expansion just starts to begin. And it's so incredible to see you get there, to get to talk to you about it, and how you've helped me. You've changed my life. I mean, I think about it so often, like I was ready for the change. Yes. No, but it's true. But like I was ready for the change, but I was still in my ego, right? And I was still eating 3 times a day, and I was still relying on food, and I still, even though I had a feeling that I could reach for this kind of immortal state and name my age or name my biology, I didn't have all the tools. I didn't. And it's this kind of energy that I was able to manifest and draw you into my life, and vice versa, and this is just the beginning of creating, this circle of unity in the world, because we're all equipped with this, we all have this ability.
I never expected that anything like this will happen to me, to be
Yeah.
honest. And
Yeah.
probably I was a very mysterious girl, believing in summoning spirits and so on.
Yeah.
But I would never believe that this is really, it's true.
Same.
And even I was like, my mind was supposing that probably we are in the game, it's illusory. Everyone speaks about this. But
Right.
when you're experiencing this is another thing.
Next level.
And so, you know what I wanted to share more. I want to say that the main idea to help people, I'm thinking I would how I would reach easier this path if I was suggested first to have attention only in body and leave out the body, like you perceive only body, how it moves, the space, and all your focus, attention is only in how my body feels, what I feel.
Yes.
And you will unpack all the range of sensual feelings, not emotions, like very primitive, like envy, being angry, offended, and this is very boring. You know, it's very low level of consciousness. But when you are living through body, you have orgasmic sensations out of wind on your skin and so on. To focus on this sensual state, this is the first key. The second is to be the honesty with yourself, like who can but catching yourself anytime you want to lie.
Yeah.
And everyone knows where they're lying, but they keep on lying because of fears usually.
Yes.
To be very trusting yourself and fearless, like, you know, as you noticed, I'm not afraid to even speak about my fuck ups on camera anymore, because who will judge me, you know? I don't care, to be honest.
This is what puts you like as a real person that people can relate to. Like, that is the beauty.
I'm a real person, and I was smoking, drinking alcohol, eating meat, and so on. So why I need to judge anyone? I'm just moving on.
I was the same.
Yeah, everyone was the same, but sometimes they play into not to be playing any kind of role and to be different, like to allow yourself to be different at each moment, and even unexpectedly for yourself, you just express your beingness freely to the world, and you feel free in this. This is the second, because, you know, mind is very tricky, and this pattern of victim which appeared in July, I was shocked. I never expected this to come, though I forgive myself for this due to a very hard period of my life and immigration. This is not an easy task for anyone, and I'm alone. I have no husband, no support. So this is natural, you know, that my survival pattern, this instinctive thing, came out and provoked this fear to raise. And the third thing is to use all tools, little bit austerity. Not for nothing, in Bible, you are on saint land now. In Bible, Jesus was fasting for 40 days. This is not for nothing, because it's very easy. But I would say that fasting is not so productive and fast with expansion as deprivation. Deprivation works right away, right on 24th hour of sleep deprivation. You can feel expansion of consciousness and feel like a little bit clear picture in front of eyes. And then it's like the beginning only. So yeah, to use food as a tool, to use sleep, what else? Meditations, of course, and bodily practices to feel your body and to feel connection with your body. Kundalini Yoga is the best, because you begin to be connected, realize where you have tension. And I think that without Kundalini Yoga, probably I won't experience all these things, because the body is very tensed and very broken due to these tensed emotions, very subconscious and so on. So that's it. That's all. Maybe it's very easy message. And I will gladly share, though I see that on my channel they used to do Kundalini Yoga more and less watching our beautiful videos. Though I guess that exactly in conversation with you, I don't know, we are activating each other. And when I'm speaking to you, my information is being unpacked more and more.
Yes.
It's so cool to speak to you always.
Oh my God.
Something new.
Same. I love speaking with you. I tell Mo all the time. I'm like, I need to speak with you. Like I need to walk with you. It's like my therapy to be able to do that. It's such a blessing. And I'm so glad that I met you. So thank you for everything.
Thank you too. And beautiful table desk is in my room now, thanks to you. When I was experiencing the victim states, you presented me table, and it was like the reminder from the universe that calm down, girl. The world takes care of you, at least in some kind of things like material objects are being embodied here. You know, miracles are very simple. We are not noticing them,
Yes.
though we had this synchronicity is happening much often when we are in 5D,
Yes.
for sure. You know, oh my God, I need to share about Tamagotchi.
I'm gonna try to put the light on because the sun's going down. So
okay.
Let's see what happens. All right, I'm not gonna pause it. I'm just gonna go try to put the light on. I think it's not a very flattering light, but
yeah, can you hear me? You know,
wow, it's bright.
oh,
Yeah, it's really bright. All the lights here are really bright.
Yeah, because you are Alana Light.
Yeah.
Wow, can you look in the spaceship now?
Now, yeah, it's a little scary, I think.
The thing is that one tool which you can check whether you need to go or to start some project or not is to, I know that one yogi from my channel, Kyla Lam, was doing this. And also I heard it twice somewhere, and I used this tool, is when you ask in universe to give you a sign, exact sign in a couple of days, or you like determine some kind of terms during which you need to receive this confirmation from the universe that you need to start this project, for example.
Yes.
You suggested me one project. Thank you for this idea, though I haven't launched it yet because I wasn't in resource for this. And I asked, I couldn't understand, you know, I was in 3D. I couldn't even feel whether I need this or not to start this project or not. And I said, okay, universe, if I will hear, someone will tell me the word Tamagotchi. I don't know why Tamagotchi.
Crazy.
Yeah, Tamagotchi, then I should start. If in the nearest time, like a week, I won't see Tamagotchi or I won't hear this old name, you know, they are not using this so often now, then it's a sign that I don't have to start this. And on the third day, when I really forgot about this, my friend talking to me said, oh, you know, life is so illusory. We are all playing Tamagotchi. And I was really shocked at this synchronicity that gives me. So we are creating all this stuff for ourselves. The same Kyla received the message from me in the costume of giraffe when I was dancing. She was wondering if she needs to send her book for publishing or not. And she was hesitating, and she said, okay, universe, give me the sign. I want to see giraffe within one day. If I see it, it will be a sign that I need to publish my book. And I was done. I don't know why I just turned the like dressed in giraffe, and I was like dancing like crazy. It sometimes happens with me spontaneously in front of camera, and she was shocked, like, oh my God, she saw this giraffe.
Crazy. You told me that story. I remember that. Like, it's unbelievable. But that's how the universe is always with us. Like, you know, we never have to feel alone, and we might feel alone, but we don't really realize that we are surrounded. And I mean, one thing people don't realize, like, we're always surrounded. Like, we're surrounded by angels. We're surrounded by ascended masters. You know, we ourselves embody all of that energy within us. And when we know that, the reason why we are surrounded by all these beings is for them to take over the burdens of what we carry that's so heavy. When we can recognize that there's an outcome that we no longer want, and it's related to a pattern that we just keep having on an ongoing basis, and that's related to a belief that we have about ourselves. Well, we can ask our angels to be able to just remove the burden of that belief, so that we can actually just lean into a different belief about ourselves. And they want to do that. They're waiting for us to be able to ask them to do that. They get brownie points from God. This is the point. This is the purpose of having like angels around us, to be able to remove those burdens, so that we can instead expand upon a new belief about ourselves, that we can create, that we are whole, that we are safe, and actually live in that energy, so that it frees us to create a different pattern, which then draws to us a new outcome. And you see it all the time. But if we forget and we cut ourselves off from the universe, and we go back to that isolated, lonely 3D state, we're not powerful creators anymore. And it's there all the time. And that's surrendering will to the universe. That's the state of trust that we can all be in, when we activate from that perspective of the higher being, and we enlarge the higher being, and we minimize the ego. And maybe just like your thing per day is, well, today I want to try to, like expand my higher self, and minimize my ego in all that I do, and just watch that, and just see where it comes up, what patterns are created, and then hand those over to the universe, so that we can create a new way of being for ourselves.
The ego itself is not so dangerous if it's not distorted by a sick mind.
Right.
Ego is like our individuality, and this is impulse, which gives us curiosity in life and development. So my ego probably is very ambitious to learn about immortality, and to like imagine that I will be like, and this body will live 500, like minimum. But yeah, to minimize the distorted side of ego, and see the darkness, and to be honest, to see this, it will help us to be free. It's just the honesty, understand that this is not you. This is like kind of distorted, painful experience which affected your individuality, and that's why you behave like this, and you are being disgusted, like very deep down you are disgusted with this behavior and so on. But then you are accepting truth, and you are not afraid to share with people that this is you are okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
just as you are. But you needed the ego to kind of put that mirror in front of you, to see the duality, to transcend the growth, to be able to reach that kind of growth. And I think when we separate ourselves, from the judgment, this is the biggest piece of it, because we're always going to have something that can cause us to be instead completely run by our ego. And the longer we stay in the place of being mad at ourselves about it, and wishing that we had done something different, the longer we cut ourselves off from all of the divine energy and the universe being able to help us to manifest, and getting back to that place of our truth again. This light is so bright. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. I can't. I'm having a call now in 10 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, I think we finished for today. It's enough, but I need to continue, because I'm lazy to write script for myself, but in conversation and dialogue, I can uncover something.
Yes,
So
yes.
boring,
I would love to. And I would love to share my experience at the Jordan River where Jesus was baptized, because it was unbelievable. So we'll have to do that in the next call.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Enjoy your trip.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow. So good seeing you.
Sleep less.
Yes, I will try to sleep less. Absolutely. All right. Be well. I'll talk to you soon, and I'll send you this recording.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Love you. Be well. Bye.
Bye.